is DD India and you're watching Express News, a program where we bring you top 100 news of the day. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Let's begin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held delegation-level talks with Singaporean counterpart Lawrence Wong on Thursday at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. Both Prime Minister Modi and his Singaporean counterpart held comprehensive discussions focusing on avenues for deepening their multifaceted partnership. India and Singapore exchanged agreements in the fields of digital innovation, green transport, civil aviation, skill development and entrepreneurship, and space technology. Addressing the joint press meet, Prime Minister Modi said relations with Singapore go far beyond diplomacy. He also informed that India and Singapore have prepared a detailed roadmap for the future of the partnership. Asserting that technology and innovation are the strong pillars of the partnership, Prime Minister Modi said that the two leaders have decided cooperation in artificial intelligence, quantum and other digital technologies will be enhanced. The Prime Minister also said that India and Singapore share common concerns regarding terrorism and thus fighting against it with unity is the duty of all countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic call with President of the European Council, Antonio Costa, and President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong of Singapore also met India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval on Thursday. In a landmark development for India's maritime sector, Prime Minister Modi and Singaporean Prime Minister Wong virtually inaugurated the second phase of the Jawaharlal Nehru Port PSA Mumbai terminal. Bhutan's Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay inaugurated newly built Royal Temple of Bhutan at Bihar on Thursday. A cultural program was presented by Bhutanese artists to mark the inauguration ceremony. The GST Council approved rate rationalization with a focus on the common man, labour-intensive industries, farmers and agriculture, health as key drivers of the economy in its 56th meeting on Wednesday. Goods and services tax on most middle-class items was reduced from 18 or 12% to 5%. Briefing media about the new reforms, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said farmers, agriculture and health were the focus of the reforms. Life-saving drugs and medicines, cancer medicines, medication for rare diseases won't attract any GST. Tax on individual life insurance, health policies also has been reduced to nil. Items such as hair oil, toilet soap, soap bars, shampoos, toothbrushes, toothpaste, bicycles, tableware, kitchenware and other household articles will now have only 5% GST. The GST slab on items like air conditioning machines, televisions above 32 inches, all types of TVs, dishwashing machines, small cars and motorcycles. The GST has been lowered on these items to 18% from 28%. The GST Council also approved a special tax of 40% on sin goods such as cigarettes, pan masala and gutka. The changes on GST of all products except sin goods will be applicable from 22nd of September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the GST Council has given its nod to sweeping reforms in the indirect tax regime, calling it a next generation step to ease the burden on citizens and boost economic growth. Top leaders including Home Minister Amit Shah, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar hailed the newly introduced GST reforms, describing them as a step towards improving the ease of living and doing business. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar termed the GST Council's decision to adopt the next generation GST a historic achievement, saying it will greatly impact the government's efforts to improve ease of living and doing business. Home Minister Amit Shah described the GST tax rate cuts and reforms as a historic decision, saying it will provide major relief to poor and middle class while supporting farmers, MSMEs, women and youth. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh hailed the next generation GST reforms as well, saying the move will enhance ease of living, further strengthen ease of doing business, empower small businesses and boost India's self-reliance under Atmanirbhar Bharat. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal lauded the GST reforms, calling the decision that reinforces the vision of Viksit Bharat, developed India. Industry leaders too welcomed the next generation GST reforms, saying the simplification of the tax system will ease doing business. ASSOCHAM Secretary General Manish Singhal welcomed the slab reduction. The Indian benchmark stock indices on Thursday ended in green. BSE Sensex settled 150 points higher at 80,718. Nifty 50 closed 19 points or 0.1% higher at 24,734. The Indian rupee reversed early gains and ended 9 paise lower at 88 rupees 15 paise against the US dollar. The price of gold in India modestly declined and stood at 10,686 rupees per gram for 24-carat gold. Oil prices dipped on Thursday, extending more than 2% decline of the previous session. So Brent crude fell 43 cents to $67.17 a barrel. Asian stocks climbed on Thursday after softer signals from the US Federal Reserve eased nerves during a week of heavy bond selling and global growth worries. European stocks gained modestly as investors assessed US trade policy. So UK's FTSE 100 was up 0.2%, France's CAC 40 was up 0.1% and Germany's DAX was near unchanged. On to international news. About 30 Western leaders are currently holding talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky over security guarantees for Kiev in the event of a peace deal with Russia. The summit in Paris of the Coalition of the Willing brought together leaders from Europe, Australia, Japan and Canada, though only some attended in person, with many choosing to join via video link. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff also joined the meeting in person. Members of the coalition, which does not include the US, have talked for months at various levels to define their prospective military support for Ukraine. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said that Russia should have no say on whether international troops are deployed in Ukraine as part of the post-war security guarantees. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said Ukraine, as a sovereign nation, had the right to decide on its security arrangements without external interference, and that Russia should have nothing to do with it. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in Beijing on Thursday. Both Xi and Kim Jong-un held in-depth talks covering bilateral ties and issues of mutual concern. In Nigeria's north-central Niger state, at least 60 people have died and dozens were rescued after a boat carrying over 100 passengers capsized. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency said emergency personnel and local divers were searching for the victims. The agency said the boat was overloaded and collided with a tree stump, causing it to capsize. Flags flew at half-mast in Lisbon on Thursday after at least 17 people were killed and 21 injured in a crash of a hillside funicular railway popular with tourists, while Portuguese authorities began investigating the cause of the accident. Portugal Prime Minister Luis Montenegro said on Thursday that the funicular crash accident was one of the biggest human tragedies ever in the Iberian country. Authorities were investigating on Thursday what caused the funicular railway popular with tourists to derail and hurtle down a hill, killing at least 17 people and injuring 21 when it crashed into a building. Thailand's ruling party, Pheu Thai, confirmed that it would nominate its candidate ahead of a parliamentary vote for a new prime minister this week. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the exhibition of the Far Eastern branch of the National Center, Russia, in Vladivostok on Thursday. Putin spoke with students from the Military Sports Training and Patriotic Education Center, Warrior. Hundreds of students in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, staged a protest in front of the Parliament building, demanding concrete action from the government against lawmakers' perks and police brutality. The protests that began in Jakarta last week have rocked the world's third-largest democracy, with demonstrations escalating nationwide after a police vehicle hit and killed a motorcycle taxi driver last week. Kim Jong-un, General Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and President of the State Affairs of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing and has held talks with Xi on Thursday. The meeting covers bilateral ties and issues of mutual concern and holds significant importance. Iran has downgraded diplomatic ties with Australia, its foreign ministry said on Thursday, a week after Australia expelled the Iranian ambassador over accusations that Tehran directed two anti-Semitic arson attacks in the cities of Sydney and Melbourne. Nepal said on Thursday it would block access to several social media platforms, including Facebook, after they failed to register with authorities in a crackdown on misuse. Thieves snatched three porcelain works worth millions of euros and classed as national treasures in a heist at a French collection in the small hours of Thursday. Let's head into a short break now. We'll be back with Express News in just a bit. Stay tuned to DD India.
We're always on the move, to the market, to work, to meet our friends. But how often do we stop and think about, is there a cleaner, affordable and eco-friendly way to travel?
Since switching to this e-rickshaw, I feel so much better. Everything is easier with this battery-powered rickshaw.
Our research is focused on a less mature technology, which will be less costly, so it'll be more economically viable.
If you plant new saplings, they'll take 10 years to grow. When we replant the trees, we are also retaining the oxygen the trees provide and preserving greenery.
My dream would be to have a play street / parklet, so we could have the parklet for some adults and some refreshments, and then everyone could come and kids could be playing.
Welcome back. You're watching Express News on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Let's resume. On to news of the vagaries of nature. The death toll in Afghanistan's deadly earthquake reached 1,469 with over 3,700 injured. A powerful magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck the Kunar province of Afghanistan late on Sunday. As per the World Weather Attribution, human-caused climate change made Spain's extreme wildfire conditions 40 times more likely. Forest fires ravaged more than 1 million hectares of land in the European Union this summer, with Spain and Portugal accounting for about two-thirds of that total. Lightning strikes sparked nearly 24 wildfires across Northern California this week, burning over 13,000 acres of dry land and forest. More than 600 firefighters are working to control the flames, and evacuation orders remain in place for several communities in Tulum County and neighboring Calaveras County. Hurricane Lorena became a Category 1 storm in the eastern Pacific and is heading towards Mexico's Baja California Peninsula. The U.S. National Hurricane Center has issued warnings of heavy rainfall, strong winds and possible flooding in Mexico's west coast and southern California. Heavy rain hit the city of Italy's Trieste region, with streets left underwater after a powerful storm. The storm was part of a larger wave of bad weather affecting northern Italy, with reports of landslides, evacuations and power outages in several areas. Continuous heavy rainfall has triggered flash floods, resulting repeated incidents of landslides along the pilgrimage route of India's Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra. In view of persistent adverse weather conditions, Mata Vaishno Devi Yatra continues to remain suspended for the 10th consecutive day. Several areas of Delhi were heavily flooded as the Yamuna River crossed danger levels following continuous rainfall. Floodwaters from the Satluj River has damaged over 1,500 acres of paddy fields in Punjab's villages. The sudden surge left crops submerged, causing massive losses to local farmers. India's Union Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan assessed damage in flood-affected areas across Punjab on Thursday. Jammu and Kashmir police carried out rescue operations in Anantnag, evacuating dozens of flood-hit residents stranded by rising waters after heavy rainfall. A female African lion at the Oregon Zoo in Portland gave fans an unexpected close-up when she discovered a hidden camera in her enclosure. Argentina officials recovered a portrait of Contessa Culioni by Italian artist G. Ghislandi, stolen by the Nazis during the Second World War. A dozen lost patients belonging to Alfred Nobel, the inventor of dynamite and founder of the Nobel Prizes, have been discovered in a Swedish couple's summer house. The Alfred Nobel documents dating back to the 1800s are now being studied before going on display at a museum. Pumpkin harvesting for Halloween is in full swing at the Nagano Prefecture in Japan. Around 13,000 pumpkins are expected to be harvested by next week, mostly destined for hotels and theme parks. Ecologists in Victoria have reintroduced the mountain barn skier to Australia's Mount Burrova with helicopter drop-offs to plant 800 seedlings, aiming to restore the ecosystem. Mountain barn skier, once thought extinct after the Black Summer bushfires, the species was rediscovered near Coral Bank, offering hope for revival. A deer breeding program in Mongolia's Bogdkhan mountain is helping to prevent inbreeding, increase the deer population and protect the mountain's ecosystem. Jennifer Hunt from Australia is attempting to become the youngest woman to fly solo around the country, joined by her golden retriever puppy Bella as co-pilot. Fashion legend Giorgio Armani passed away at the age of 91 on Thursday. The Italian billionaire was one of the most iconic figures of high fashion. On to entertainment news now. US actors Oscar Isaac and Jason Momoa, along with other stars, walked the red carpet for the Cartier Glory to the Filmmaker Award 2025. An English rock band, Radiohead, announced first tour after 7 years, 20 shows to take place in 5 cities across Europe, and the tour will start in Spain on November the 4th. American songwriter and actor Lin-Manuel Miranda reunited with the original Hamilton cast to celebrate the release of the musical film's version in the US. Hollywood actor Tom Holland is back with 2 major projects, Spider-Man, Brand New Day, and Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. 3-time Grammy winner Ricky Cage has composed the background score for film Papa Buka, which is Papua New Guinea's first official Oscar entry. Hollywood filmmaker Emerald Fennell's new film Wuthering Heights, starring Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi, has released its first teaser on Thursday, and it is based on the classic novel. Science fiction film Avatar: The Way of Water returns to the Indian cinema in 3D for 1 week, only from 2nd October 2025. Action-adventure film Avatar Fire and Ash, directed by James Cameron, is set to hit screens on 19th of December. Bollywood film Baagi 4, produced by Sajid Nadiawala, drops a new song, Marjana, on Thursday. The film will hit the theatres tomorrow. Indian director Anurag Kashyap's crime drama film Nishanchi's trailer is out. The film hits cinemas on 19th of September. And next we have sports news. In Hockey Asia Cup, Mandeep Singh and Hardik Singh lead India to a 2-2 draw against South Korea in their Super 4 match in Rajgir, Bihar. India next take on Malaysia in the second Super 4's game on Thursday. The Women's Hockey Asia Cup 2025 is set to commence from September 5th to 14th in China, with 8 teams competing for the spot at the 2026 FIH Hockey World Cup. In the US Open, Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime secured a hard-fought comeback victory over Alex de Minaur to reach the men's singles semi-finals. Defending champion Yannick Sinner continued his flawless run by beating Lorenzo Musetti in the first all-Italian men's Grand Slam quarter-final. With this win, Sinner extended his unbeaten hard-court streak to 26 matches. In women's singles, Amanda Anisimova executed a stunning upset over Polish second seed Iga Swiatek to reach the last 4 stage. In the last women's quarter-final, Naomi Osaka defeated Karolina Muchova, setting up her semis clash against Anisimova. In the men's doubles, India's Yuki Bhambre and New Zealand's Michael Venus booked a semi-final berth after a historic win in the last 8 stage. Indian cricketer Yuvraj Singh backed Indian Golf Premier League on Thursday, announced veteran golfers Shiv Kapoor, SSP Chaurasia, Jeev Milkha Singh, among others, as the icon players for India's first ever professional tour. Ferrari will celebrate the anniversary of Niki Lauda's first world title by running a retro livery at the Italian Grand Prix on Sunday. India's iconic leg spinner Amit Mishra announced his retirement from professional cricket. Mishra, who made his India debut in 2023, revealed his battle with depression after being sidelined for 5 years post his debut and expressed his desire for an earlier comeback. The Enforcement Directorate on Thursday summoned former Indian cricketer Shikhar Dhawan for questioning in an alleged illegal betting app-linked money laundering case. In a historic moment for Indian Scrabble, 14-year-old Madhav Gopal Kamath won the World Youth Scrabble Championship 2025 title. And French midfielder Paul Pogba has been added to Monaco's squad for the league's phase of UEFA Champions League 2025-26. So that's it in this edition of Express News. Thank you for tuning in. Namaskar.
We're always on the move, to the market, to work, to meet our friends. But how often do we stop and think about, is there a cleaner, affordable and eco-friendly way to travel?
Since switching to this e-rickshaw, I feel so much better. Everything is easier with this battery-powered rickshaw.
Our research is focused on a less mature technology, which will be less costly, so it'll be more economically viable.
If you plant new saplings, they'll take 10 years to grow. When we replant the trees, we are also retaining the oxygen the trees provide and preserving greenery.
My dream would be to have a play street slash parklet, so we could have the parklet for some adults and some refreshments, and then everyone could come and kids could be playing.